heart sinks into the pit of your stomach, your palms get sweaty, you're angry with yourself or at the officer for pulling you over. You just broke a traffic law, and now you hope you won't have to pay. At least not too much. My name is Justin West. This is Life After Liberal Arts, and I'm not worried about traffic tickets. In fact, I've not worried about them in years. Let me go over some of the basics you can do to perhaps lessen the chance of getting a ticket. Of course, in the first place, the number one thing you can do is to respect the law. These brave men and women dedicate their lives to keeping us all safe on the road, and we should respect them and be thankful to them for that fact. Now, with a few exceptions, and an egregious traffic violation is top among them, cops are not mandated to write tickets. Contrary to what your buddies may have told you, the ones who have a friend who knows a guy whose neighbor's a cop, contrary to all of that, cops don't have to fill quotas. In fact, most would rather send you on your way with a friendly warning, and that can save you time, and it can save you money, and it's less paperwork for them. So assuming you haven't respected the law, don't argue. When pulled over, you might be tempted to argue. What are you stopping me for? I didn't do anything. What's this all about? If you try and take charge by asking questions, you're only going to irritate the cop. Detective Dennis Fanning, a homicide detective and veteran officer with the LAPD, says, all we do is react to what people do when we pull them over. We don't instigate the stuff, but we will react to you. The situation will escalate or de-escalate, depending on how that person reacts. So, rather than argue, it's definitely in your best interests to stay calm. Put yourself in the officer's shoes. Every time they pull someone over, they risk death. If the person they're pulling over is aggravated, and they have a weapon, something as silly as a speeding ticket could result in that officer never seeing his family again, and that's not fair. Don't cause the officer's fear factor to rise. You're more likely to get a break anyway if you're calm with the officer. Sergeant Matthew Kopp of the South Plainfield, New Jersey Police Department says the officer is more likely to cut you a break as long as you can reduce that fear. If you're friendly with me, not arguing or denying what happened, that lowers the fear factor and will make me a lot more cooperative with you. It should go without saying, but don't lie. Cops are trained to catch most simple lies, especially the ones we come up with in the heat of the moment. All this does is insult the cop and their intelligence. Moreover, the truth can actually set you free. Sergeant Kopp recalled an incident where he pulled a young guy over for speeding. He looks at me and he says, officer, I wasn't even paying attention. I just had the best date of my life. I just met my future bride. I'm on cloud 9 right now. The guy was completely serious, Kopp said. How are you going to write that guy up after that? Also, it's a good idea to not boast about who you know. All that does is infuriate the cop. They will consider it a veiled attempt to threaten their livelihood. Not to mention, most municipalities have laws on the books protecting officers from precisely these sorts of I know someone situations. A cop won't lose his job just because he arrested the mayor's daughter. Finally, and this should also go without saying, never try and bribe an officer. Detective Fanning says, in those instances where they've offered me a bribe, I loved making the arrests. Bribing an officer is illegal. Don't try it. If you follow these 5 simple steps, you'll greatly reduce your risk of getting a traffic ticket, and that's good news for you. But what do you do if you do get a traffic ticket? First off, sign the ticket. Now, this is not an admission of your guilt, but merely a statement that you're being made aware of the fact that the citation is being issued and you've agreed to handle it. If you don't agree to handle it, the situation can only get worse for you. A piece of paper in your pocket is much better than jail time. Secondly, you need to know your rights. You need to know where you stand with the law. With most traffic violations, you're assigned a certain amount of points. They vary from state to state, usually from about 2 points to 6 points, 2 points being a minor violation, 6 points being a major one. Some points may be forgiven over time. You want to keep the points off your license. This is important because this can affect your ability to get insured, have cheap insurance premiums, or even keep your license, which grants you the privilege of driving, and remember that driving is a privilege. To fight your ticket, and to avoid points on your license, as well as increased insurance premiums, you should always consult a competent attorney. It's generally a mistake to try and fight a traffic violation on your own. In court, it's always the officer's word against yours, and all other things being equal, the officer gets the benefit of the doubt. Of course, not all lawyers are competent, so be wary. Again, this is Justin West with LifeAfterLiberalArts.com, and I haven't worried about a traffic violation in 8 years. I'll see you on the next page.